The contemporary Muslim world is navigating one of the most challenging phases in its history. A leading Islamic scholar from Pakistan rightly observed that in this era of global upheaval, the Muslim Ummah must act with wisdom and foresight rather than resorting to reactionary confrontation. The prevailing global order is dominated by non-Islamic powers, and open resistance without strategic calculation may invite further harm. The need of the hour is introspection, reform, and unity. The Ummah must begin by identifying and correcting its own internal flaws, religious, political, and intellectual. In essence, there is a dire need for deep self-reflection, both at the individual and collective level. While this may be seen as a matter of debate, it is also a sound and realistic strategy. The bitter truth is that the Ummah has already fragmented into major ideological blocks: Sunni versus Shia, Arab versus non-Arab. After over 1,400 years, it is no longer feasible to definitively resolve historical theological disputes. What is written in the annals of history should be left there. The focus must shift from debating the past to shaping a peaceful and united future. It is a tragic paradox that followers of a religion with over 1.5 billion adherents continuously ignore the divine command not to divide into sects, lest they be weakened and subjugated. One wonders whether the Muslim world has adopted the Machiavellian and Kantian philosophies of manipulation over the Quranic principles of unity and justice. Spirituality, once the soul of the Muslim identity, has been gradually abandoned in favor of blind ritualism. The balance between materialism and spiritual awareness has collapsed. As a result, the Ummah has collectively failed to cultivate the intellectual maturity needed to discern between truth and falsehood. Islam, in many places, has been confined to mere rituals, and the consequences visible: confusion, disunity, and extremism, both in politics and religion. Meanwhile, global powers continue to exploit the internal rifts within Muslim countries for their own strategic advantage. As many Muslim states have chosen their own distinct and divergent paths, the vision of a unified Ummah has remained a distant dream. The silence of many Arab regimes in the face of blatant injustice, most notably during the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, is deeply troubling. Pakistan's muted stance on these issues is equally disheartening. Only Iran has consistently raised its voice against imperial oppression and global tyranny. Western powers, fully aware of the weaknesses within the Muslim world, have long implemented strategies to manipulate and dominate the region. Through a combination of coercive diplomacy, economic dependency, and cultural infiltration, they have ensured that Muslim nations remain divided and politically impotent. The invasions of Iraq, Syria, Libya, and Afghanistan, justified through false narratives such as weapons of mass destruction, are glaring examples of how the international system operates on double standards. The Muslim world, unfortunately, remains too fragmented and weakened to mount a collective response. At the heart of this global crisis lie two unresolved issues: Palestine and Kashmir. Both represent the illegal occupation of Muslim lands and the systematic oppression of indigenous populations. These conflicts, originally political, have evolved into resistance movements, now labeled as terrorism by the same powers that once championed freedom and self-determination. India, in particular, has worked diligently, under the guise of fighting extremism, to delegitimize the Kashmiri freedom movement, with active Western support. Despite facing international sanctions and isolation, Iran has shown remarkable resilience. Since the overthrow of the Western-backed monarchy, and the establishment of the Islamic Republic under the Ayatollahs, Iran has pursued a path of self-reliance. This independent posture has made it a target of hostility, especially due to its refusal to conform to the Western-designed regional order. Iran's nuclear ambitions are seen not merely as a strategic threat, but as a challenge to a world system that views Muslim empowerment with suspicion. Anyone who dares to resist is labeled a terrorist, providing a convenient pretext for foreign intervention in the name of global peace. In this turbulent global environment, it is imperative for the Muslim world to return to its foundational values, foremost among them, justice. The Quran commands believers to stand firmly for justice, even if it be against themselves or their kin. This principle must be the cornerstone of any collective response to oppression and injustice, both within and beyond Muslim borders. Whether such solidarity is possible remains uncertain, but that it is necessary is beyond doubt. The future of the Ummah depends on its ability to overcome sectarianism, resist foreign manipulation, and act with strategic wisdom rooted in Islamic ethics. The West once used Afghanistan to defeat the Soviet Union, only to leave the country in ruins. Pakistan bore the brunt of the aftermath, enduring years of terrorism and instability. Today, the focus has shifted to South Asia, especially Kashmir, where the systematic oppression of Muslims continues under the shadow of global silence. If Muslim countries genuinely wish to preserve their sovereignty and dignity, they must confront uncomfortable truths. The internal discord, whether sectarian, ethnic, or ideological, must be addressed. Misguided clerics and politicized religious leaders who fan the flames of division must be held accountable. And in the short term, the Muslim world must, at the very least, stand with Iran, not to endorse all its policies uncritically, but to defend the right of any Muslim nation to resist domination and maintain its independence. The Western project is not just to remove a regime or disarm a state, it is to dismantle any Islamic framework that challenges their interests. In this context, unity is not just a noble aspiration, it is a matter of survival. But the final and most pressing question remains, is such unity even possible? Or will the Muslim world continue down a path of division, weakening itself in the face of a world that thrives on its fragmentation?